adapt in a new school. So I used to speak English, but this is a public school. These people know Sheng, they only know Swahili. So they could call me Mlami, and I used that opportunity just to stand out. So just to fit in the group, I used to come and get some snacks for these people. We have a conversation on a daily. So as time went by, it became more of now a passion. So when I joined high school, I participated highly in public speaking competitions, in debates here and there. And when I finished high school, that's how I joined I Speak Society. And I got my training to become a trainer.
You've spoken of standing out. You're a young man.
Yes.
And the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, you see how they are behaving these days.
Yes.
Sherehe sheria. Like Saturday, kuwakilisha.
Yes.
What makes you stand out as an ambitious young man? What is the driving factor?
So there's a story of a young lady. She was in 4th year in JKUAT. So she was the only hope of the family. So one day she was told by the friends, this is the only day that we are inviting you to go for a party. And you are about to finish school. In the coming months, you'll be graduating. So this girl was a little bit hesitant. She was like, I cannot do this thing. Like, I know where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. But the pressure became so much intense. So she decided she'll just go and hang out with her friends. So they went in this building and they were highly drunk. So they were 8th floor. And as they were having a conversation, there was a conflict that arose. In that, in the midst of the conflict, one of the ladies pushed her all the way from 8th floor. And as she fell down, being taken to the hospital, she was no more. That's how she lost her life. And I asked myself, only if she understood her mandate and also understanding where she was coming from. Because when your dream is too big, some things become too small.
Oh, yeah.
So you cannot be taken by the waves of a generation because you have an understanding.
Standing firm.
And you also have a purpose to chase.
Yeah, you have a friend,
Yes.
WALUBENGO,
Yes.
a great orator,
Yes.
another as well.
Yes.
I see, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah,
Birds of the same feather, yeah?
Yes.
So, who is WALUBENGO?
Wow. So WALUBENGO is an award-winning orator. He's just been awarded recently as the best orator of the year 2024 when it comes to generational conversations. Aside from that, he's also an author of 5 books. One which is famously known that is Sprouts, which he wrote at the age of 19 years. Aside from that, he's also a speech trainer, having successfully done some trainings and some consultations even in the government, that is now the office of the First Lady. Aside from that, he's also a student at Easter University, doing his bachelor's degree when it comes to the aspect of we say insecurity, and is how they normally say it in a way, in a interesting, but it's more about diplomacy. Yes. So aside from that, I can say he's also the president and founder of I Speak Society. And I Speak Society is an organization which trains young orators, young entrepreneurs to become disruptors. Aside from that, to become people who can stand out when it comes to the entrepreneurial world, as far as now communication is concerned, because now that's the cup of coffee. So we can say successfully under I Speak Society, we've trained more than 50,000 young people across the country, and we're still doing more outreach here and there, reaching out to high school students, campus students, and even people in the corporate world, because we believe communication is a powerful tool, and through communication, that's how you connect with your destiny.
You've spoken of I Speak Society.
Yes.
Did it just come up, or you sat down, discussed that this is what we need to do, bring the youth together and talk to them, train them? How did it come to be?
Now, the birth of I Speak Society, WALUBENGO was a noisemaker, quote unquote, in school. So one day he was found making noise, and there's this teacher who told them what were they discussing, and others are studying. So Benihin had to be the one to be crucified. So he had to explain what they were discussing at that particular hour. So he said they were discussing on a project on how they could go and impact young people in orphanages so that they can become effective communicators, and also like bring up an organization that can train people in public speaking. So this teacher tells them, when it's closing day, make sure you come and see me. So when he goes, he's given 20,000 Kenya shillings, and he's told you must account for this amount. So you're just in high school, you've been given 20,000 Kenya shillings. You're like, oh my days. So you have friends here and there, and you're like, how will I do with this money? How will I spend it? So their thought was not that. So they went and exploited the money. Say, talk about taking pizza here and there, going for trips here and there with friends, just catching up and also having fun. Now, when school was about to open, it hit him that, by the way, he was supposed to account for the cash. So the friends were no more to be seen. They were like, hey Buddha, itabidi umejitetea, cheza kama wewe. So an idea popped up. So he had some little cash with him, and he just decided to visit an orphanage. He took some clothes, some foodstuffs, and they took with them some photos, just as evidence that this money was used well. So through that, an idea came, Voices of Beni Foundation.
Yeah.
So when the Voices of Beni came into picture, he just joined Taster, that is first year. Then we had Andrew and Henry Washira. So they were the three friends together with Beni WALUBENGO. So they've just met. An opportunity comes, Beni wins to as the best orientation of the year. He gets that award. So through that journey, they started something called the masterclass. So masterclass, we were gathering young people. We be coached in public speaking. We used to pay in for a fee. Then we meet at AIC Milimani rather, every Saturday, and we have a session. And through this journey, an idea popped up. Him being a God-fearing man, an idea came in the spirit. And because the vision was outgrowing him as a person, it changed from Voices of Beni to I Speak Society. And that's how I Speak Society is till now.
Since I Speak Society is a non-profit organization,
Yes.
and you are coaching youth, talking to them, they do not pay.
Yes.
Where do you get these funds from? Or do you have partnership with the government whereby they support you, or do you just wait for, we call upon God to help you, you know?
That's an interesting question. Well, I'll start with the statement you said, you call on God. It might seems like a cliche in a way, because now we're in a generation where you tell people about God. And one thing I know, you can give your life to Christ today, but it does not mean you'll become wealthy tomorrow.
True.
So I can say also the ways of God is just extreme. So how we raise our funds, number one, we have partners on board. People who've already bought into the vision, who've already bought into the idea. Secondly, we also have Double B Consultancy, or rather Double B Ventures. So consultancy deals with speech training. It deals with public speaking as well, now focusing on people in the corporate world. Aside from that, we also do proposal training. We also do proposal writing. We've also done speeches for people in government. So Double B is more of a brother company to I Speak. So through the revenue we generate from Double B Consultancy, it now comes on the other side to boost I Speak Society. Yes. Aside from that, we also have Double B Printing and Branding, where we do a Christian merchandises. So I can say it has also played a key part, because now when you look at I Speak, it's more of a priest. But when you look at Double B, it's more of a king. So how can kingship and priesthood partner together? So that's the whole idea.
Wow, that's nice. And yeah, my viewers, you've heard that these are young people who are impacting the nation, and they are doing a great job. We've talked of speech training. Do you train people on how they should stand on the podium and talk, or what is speech training?
Now, when you talk about speech training, let me break it down to public speaking. Before, I used to think public speaking is just standing before a number of people and saying what you have to say. But deep down, I came to realize it's beyond. Because now public speaking, beyond being an art, it's also a science. So how do you capture the attention of people? So it narrows down to the brain's function. We have the aspect of a logical brain, we have an emotional brain, and we also have an instinctive brain. So these three types of brains partner to make sure that your speech is effective. So beyond you standing well, there's also the science behind of it. Yes. So we coach you on how to make presentations, how you can stand before people, how you can capture or rather grab the attention of people. Yes. And how you can make sure that your speech is as short as a miniskirt to attract the attention and long enough to capture the attention.
Yeah. You've talked about the 5 books that
Yes.
Benny has written.
Yes.
One of them being Sprout,
Yes.
The Journey of a Dreamer. Take us through the book and the motivation behind writing that book. Because it's the journey of a dreamer.
Yes.
We're all dreamers.
Now, when you talk about Sprout, Sprout talks about the 5 things you can never choose in life. The 5 things that you also have power to choose. Now, some of the things that you can never choose, for instance, background, you cannot choose your skin tone. No one writes a letter to heaven and says, I want to come white, I want to come from a wealthy background. We just come and find ourselves there. No one says, I want to come from a certain nationality. But for instance, I want to be born Jamaican, I want to be born American. We just find ourselves existing. So I would say through the book, there are things that you have power to choose. Someone said, when you're asked about why are you not succeeding and you say, I came from a poor background, anytime you hit 18 and above, it's no longer about the background, but you become the background. So when you see where you're going, then you can never unsee whatever you've seen. So what are the things that you have power to choose? Number one, you can choose your lifestyle. You can choose where you want to study. You can choose your spouse or rather a marriage partner. You can also choose the associations that you want, the friends that will stay with you, surround you, and also influence you. Yes.
And what are some of the challenges, the initial challenges that you had, when creating something, especially the youth, when you want to bring the youth together, a lot of challenges. So what are some of the challenges that you encountered and maybe how you dealt with them?
Okay, if I talk about challenges, I'll draw it in a triangle. So we have words, we have environment, and aside from that, we also have mindset. So these 3 things partner to determine whether you'll grow or you'll drop. So words that have been said against you, definitely, when they get into your ears and you don't counter them, it will make you stay stagnant. You won't move. On the other side, environment also plays a critical factor. Now, growing in a posh environment, there's a certain mindset that you already have. There's how you perceive things, how you resonate things. Now, being less fortunate will also position your mindset in a different way. When you have an understanding on whom you've been called to be, I love a certain verse in the Bible, in the book of Jeremiah 1:5. Bible says, and the Lord knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb, and he called me to be a prophet to many nations. He did not just say a nation, but he says nations. So there is how you get an understanding of who you are through God. Now, if you focus on your challenges, then you become the problem, because we are not looking at the what anymore. We are looking at the why. So when you look keenly, when you see a flower die, you don't fix the flower, but you fix the environment of the flower. So if you've been brought up in an unfortunate environment, yes, there are challenges here and there. You can talk about finance, but have you seen where you need to be? If you've already seen where you want to go, then it is very easy for you to live from the future, because great men don't live for the future, they live from the future. Yes.
Wow. So how has technology helped in bringing the youth together and in the formation of the society, the iceberg society?
Okay, I can say technology has been a very essential tool, because most of our reach outs to the masses of people that we even attract from diaspora, it's courtesy of the social media. Now, social media for me, I can say, beyond it being a place of connection, it's also a place of destiny. And that's how communication becomes very essential. How do you package your message? Because in every circumstance, first impression matters. How you show up physically and also how you show up virtually says a lot about you. How have you branded your page? It also speaks about you. So anytime someone comes to I Speak Society, from the bio, you get a whole idea of what you do. So it becomes very easy for you to be attracted, not to self, but to vision. because vision outgrows you as a person. It entails other people. Now, I speak is only relevant because of the people we are raising. If we didn't have a track record of people we are raising, then it will lose its relevance. That's how social media is powerful on our side. By knowing what to post, which message to say to a generation, what is the need that the generation is having currently, and what is the solution. Because one thing that we have as a generation is the interpretation, but now what about the implementation? How can you stand out? Look at Joseph interpreted the dream, but beyond interpreting the dream, he had the solution on what the king wanted to do. So that's how social media is to us. We see the need and we come up with a solution. Yeah.
Gen Zs have been so vocal, especially on the social media.
Yes.
So how can young people be better represented in decision making?
Wow, that's a good question. First of all, I would say beyond young people being represented, or rather coming out to voice out, understanding is a key. Now, you can come out to speak, that's good. But the big question is, when you speak, are you heard? And beyond being heard, what are the implementations that are taking place? Let's just have a key analysis. Even when we were protesting, it was the right thing. There's an attention that we got. But beyond that, for me, I take a Bible as my manual. So the big question was, anytime a national crisis arose, God released men to speak. When Goliath was a problem, David was brought into picture. When dreams were hard to interpret, we have Daniel, we have Joseph. When Kina Mordecai, they want to be killed, an Esther is released. So in every circumstance, or rather a national crisis, there's normally a Joseph that is released. But now, it needs to come from a point of capacity building. Because I feel where we are growing very fast. And we are very lucky because our times, we are favored by a lot of things. We have social media here and there. But now, how can we speak to a point that the president can say, I want to sit with Grace today and listen to her? So beyond speaking, I feel also what we need is to have an understanding of a spiritual backup. How does now God come to crown you? Because when you look at David, when he was killing Goliath, something funny, the stone came from the front, but Goliath fell. Like it was a mystery. We expected him to fall with his back, but he fell with his stomach. So this is just to show you that it was not even the stone that killed him. He was good in sling. So beyond us having the skill, beyond us having the talent, there's a level where now we need to have the gift. Because a skill is something that you study. Maybe you are in NIPS currently. You are studying things to do with media. An ability, this is something that you're good at. Maybe you can cook. Then we have a talent. This is something that is natural. You're just born with. Then now we have finally the gift. So the gift, this is now the combination of the three and having an understanding of what God has called you to be. Yes.
Thank you so much, my viewer. That's just the first segment of this show. We will be back in a few. Don't go. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Hibi zilianza small scale door to door. Likuwa na kinda opens hadi so depending on vile tutabonga. If you know you know, side delivery nafanya kwote juu busy grow. Yeah. Big up yourself. Kama lini safit na zikinda kwa shelf. Sherehe after kazi nyama kima kitesa. Ini kihando the cash check milio cash.
Wiki over, kila mtu anauliza form iko wapi. Ni sesa kwenye decks wanajua it's a party. Friday hadi Sunday joma fans wa hati. Lakini cheki bank statements ziko safi. Safi. Yo, ukipiga hiyo mboka get that money alafu sema yeah. Better save that money alafu yeah. lazima tutafute tukafunge. Yeah, yeah.
Your life ijipe na sio kesho.
Yeah, yeah.
Lazima tutafute tukafunge.
Yeah, yeah.
Make it happen right now, right here.
Property Finder has more homes available everywhere you look, in every neighborhood, and every community. With more and more arriving every day. Property Finder. Find every home here. Download the app today.
Welcome to the realm where dreams take flight, where imagination soars on wings of innovation, where creativity and business intertwine. Join our vibrant family, a network that inspires, with mentors who fuel your creative fires. It's more than just a school. It's an immersive experience that shapes hearts, minds, and spirits. Here, legends are born and nurtured. Ignite your flame. Where dreams are stitched into business plans. We equip you with the tools to choose. Unleash your passion amidst these worlds. NIBS Technical College, developing character skills and competence.
Kote nchini matumaini, tujitahidi, tujivunie, tuendelee. Twende mbele.
Kenya, twende mbele. NCBA, go for it.
Niko mko home. Aki niko, mbona mmechange password ya wifi? Aki simnipe tu hiyo password. Hata baby girl ako home, si ndio amesema go away.
Bro,
Mambo janjes,
takusuma majirani.
make chapo smarter. Aje.
Dial star 334# to enjoy 1 GB at 50 Kenya shillings for 24 hours. Bundle exclusively available on Airtel Money.
Okay, nimesha sort hiyo 1 GB. Sana dai yako kakuku tu.
back, my viewer. This is Mibs TV, and I'll be taking questions from my audience. Habari zenyu? Mko salama? Yeah, hivyo ni vizuri. Mnaka vizuri? Na hope kila moja kuna swali. I'll start from here.
Actually, I'm Oshindi Dieka from the Coastal region. I'm an author and a narrator also. So to me, I don't have any question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Joy. I'm a student. I would like to ask, what are the qualities that one needs? For example, I'm a student. Kuna pressure, like tunaweza vuitaje.
Thank you so much.
I'm Sandra Morioka, and I would like to, I'm a student because I pursue cosmetology, and I would like to ask, is it hard or does it take a lot of things to become an author?
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Glory Gada. I have a question. I'm just happy seated here because I'm hearing someone who's spiritual like me and whose manual is the Bible. It's really encouraging. So I can just say that people should know how to rely on the Bible. It has everything they need, and it's the manual that they need to operate under. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Victor. I'm very grateful for your words. I'm enjoying them. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Andrew, and I'm a student here. I'm undergoing hospitality management. That's my course, and I don't have any question. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much. Levy, back to you.
Okay. Thank you so much once again for being back. I'm super excited. Hi. So been asked a number of questions. So let me start with what Joyce asked about the qualities. Well, I can say qualities. Let me start this way. For a door to be opened and to allow you get inside, your values need to be outstanding. There's a level where it gets where skill, ability, and talent can take you. There is a level where now you as a person, your characteristics sustain you in certain spaces. At the age of 19, I worked for the deputy president. I was one of his personal chefs. At this time, I was just cleared high school. I need to join campus. I was called at Technical University of Kenya. The week of orientation, funny enough, I never attended the orientation. So I deferred from the word go. Because I was like, this is an opportunity that has come. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to school to earn money. Now, why should I go to school? I study all these things and money has already come. So this is an opportunity that came by a certain chef that I was just pursuing from Facebook. I saw his works and I was like, you're doing an amazing job, sir. I would love to learn what you're doing. So the first value that you need to have is a teachable spirit. Teachable spirit gave me an access that I was not worth it. I can say I've not done any course in catering. But because of the aspect of just being teachable, ready to learn, gave an alarm rather to this guy. Then he was like, okay, I'll give you an opportunity. But he has never given me that opportunity. 3 months after I've reached out to him, I was like, Buddha, opportunity. I think. So the other thing, patience. Because now it's out of patience, but there's this day, the sons of Rigiji were having a cousins meeting. So this guy calls and he says, tomorrow I want to meet up with you, 11 a.m., Quick Mart Pioneer. be dressed in white and black. See you tomorrow. The other quality, flexibility. So I was not ready. It's not that I was like, I had planned for it. So I was asking myself, imagine tomorrow I'm already like engaged. What will have I said? Then I told my mom. Then my mom said, you can cancel whatever you have, but show up for this event. You don't know what it calls for. So I show myself up. We go. We do some different cooking stuff here and there. And I'm like, this thing is really enjoying. So we finish at around 11 p.m. This guy texts me for shopping. Worth 5,000. And he gives me 3,500 shillings. Now, ideally, I'm 19. And I'm like, but I have friends who are doing other stuff. They get 500 shillings a day. With me, I get 3,500 shillings. And it's not that it's from 8 to 5. It's just a couple of few hours. Just cooking, spending in the kitchen. Then I go and tell my parents, Pops, I've decided I'm doing catering. My dad is like, you're not serious. So the other thing that I also learned is the aspect of also like obedience. Now, how obedience? Listening to the voice of God. Now, how did it come? So I had my friends. They used to practice. They used to play piano and just sing worship songs. So I hear in the spirit that they come and tell me, you need to be part of us. I'm like, Buddha, mi siwezi kuwa kanini. Nacheza keyboard. Mnaimba aje. Siwezi. I have other things to do. Because at that time I was really struggling with Christianity. Because when things shifted, I was like, God provided manna for the children of Israel. Now with us, we used to have this life. It's normal. To a point that you sleep hungry. I was like, this is not God. So I was getting to a place where I would become an atheist. So I started doing my research on things to counter Christianity and religion per se. And within that space, kiboko nilipewa. Because nika God alikuwa ananiita cha nguvu. So I find myself in this space. So the first day we go, nimekaa, nimemedi. The second day I'm told you lead the Bible study. So I read the book in Joshua where God withhold the sun so that these people could fight. And I'm like, okay, it really happened. It never happened in my life. So I asked these people, they were like, you see, it can happen. That very day is the day that I'm now called for the first event. So I show up. 2 months later, we were through the elections. I'd applied for IBC. Mana nimechoma na jua. Alafu nikakosa job. Nikachakasirika. So I was like asking God, now, why? I sacrificed. I went. But I never knew that's an interview for another thing. So there again, patience was being tested. And also my faith in Him. Like, whom do I look up to? So at this particular moment, people have already been placed by IBC. Then I receive a call. Hello. Tomorrow, let's meet at Nairobi West. Teamwell. 6 a.m. in the morning. I show up by 5:30. I find the chef has already arrived by 5:30. Then he tells me, I can see you're time conscious. Because I had arrived 30 minutes earlier. That's another quality. Time management. So we show up. Then at this level, I don't know where I'm going to. I'm just told we're going to Karen. So this is the first opportunity. I step my feet in this mansion. I'm like, oh my God. Ketari. Wewe nakuja kukufana. So I'm here. We already guided on what to do. Then I just do a turn. Then I see this portrait of Rigathi Gachagua, His Excellency. And I'm like, okay. Maybe huyu ni msetu anampenda. Ameweka hapa. Kidogo kuna jamaa alikuwa na brush kiatu. Amekuja is a shine fiti. Naambiwa these shoes are not shining. Kasema I can help. I take a carrier bag. Nikapitisha vizuri. Then nikisimama hivi napata 1,000 inaniangalia. I take this 1,000. I'm like, he's the deputy president standing before me. I was like, okay, Levy, tulia. This is not happening. So I can say those are some of the key things that have also like helped me. And then also like understanding the environment that you're in. Maybe if you have asked for money, that relationship could be lost. Because this is how you can also conduct yourself amidst greatness. Because Kina Sakaja used to come in, these prominent people, the likes of Kina Waititu, you see them on a daily, and you're like, okay, you see the president coming in sometimes, and you're like, wow, this is it. And this particular moment is where now the language of needs had to be hidden back in the pocket. because it's more about destiny. Asking God, why am I here? The Joseph moment, being at the Potiphar's room, he would have accepted to compromise. But the fact that you can also stand firm and also stand your ground, that's another quality. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Levy, you've talked of patience.
Mhm.
Now let me tell you what the youths lack these
Mhm.
days
Mhm.
ni patience.
Uh-huh.
Levy, I'm 20 years.
Uh-huh.
Mimi
Uh-huh.
nina struggle saa hii
Mhm.
hata kupata food. Mi ni comrade.
Mhm.
Hata kupata food ni
Mhm.
shida.
Uh-huh.
And then kuna 20-year-old
Uh-huh.
hey, kona Lambo, kona range,
Uh-huh.
mpesa inasoma, account
Uh-huh.
balance iko juu.
Uh-huh.
And you're telling me to be patient. Mi nataka pesa ya haraka haraka, mi nataka nikiomba sahi,
Uh-huh.
kesho asubuhi naipata. Hiyo maana venye iliteremka, hata mi nataka maana yangu.
Uh-huh.
Like how will I be patient as a youth?
Uh-huh.
Nitakuwaje patient? Nipatie hiyo patience na ile grace
Uh-huh.
ya kungoja.
Okay. Amazing. So my big question is always, what's your definition about money? If you ever get the definition of money, you know what you're asking for. Unfortunately, personally, I even don't know what money is. It's funny enough, we ask for things that we even don't know or we don't have understanding. Because for me, you'll ask me about money, I'll say, I'll sort my bills. Now, anytime you ask for yourself, you'll be given a spoon. When you ask for your family, you'll be given a plate. But when you ask for generation, you'll be given the entire kitchen. Why the entire kitchen? It has all the resources that you need to feed a generation.
True.
Because for you to attract resources, I link it directly with Benny Hinn. I've seen him being given 2 cars within a shortest span of time. The first car he was given is a Subaru Legacy. He's never met this guy before. It's the day of his birthday. Pastor T calls him. He says, "Kuja nyumbani." That morning, he finds it very hard to show up. Then we're like, "Bro, Ishia, this is your dad." And he shows up in sweatpants, jeans, and Crocs. Then they've had a conversation. Then the conversation is over. He's like, he wants to come home. Then Pastor T says, "There's this guy called Kevin. Anadai kuongea na wewe." He goes, he speaks with Kevin. Kevin says, "I've been watching you from TikTok." Then all of a sudden, he gives him a key. He says, "Man, this is my gift to your birthday." He's given a Subaru Legacy. Mimi niko tao napigiwa simu, "Bro, uko wapi? Mali huko." Mimi sijui utafikaje huku. Nimekutumia pin. Kuja before jamaa badilishe akili. Kwanza alitext, ikakaa story ya Java. Nisikia, "Bro, Subaru Legacy, black in color." Nimepewa. Okay, nikatulia kwanza. So I was with the guy called Awero. I'm like, "Buddha, unaona hii message ina make sense." Then he says, "Bro, take the nearest cab. Come." So mimi nimeenda nimefika hivi. Tukapata yenyewe. It's real. So I realized there's a level where it gets where your vision is very clear. It attracts things. There's a level where you don't look for things, but things look for you. But it only comes at a place of clarity. Now, this is how patience comes in our generation. On Sunday, I met this guy. He's called Lanito. He has a Mustang. I was like, wow, this dude has the best car. And then I was like, okay, Bible tells me, Matthew 6:33, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything shall be added unto you." And John 10:10 Bible says, "The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but I can give you life and life abundance." Now, this is the mystery behind these 2 verses. Now, the devil can give you what seems good in the sight of God. The only tactic is, for the devil, he will give you with the aim of stealing. So stealing, what do you want? You want a good car? Take it. You want a good mansion? Take it. At this level, you've not understood what's your purpose, what's your vision. So at the end goal will be, you are super much interested with this thing. At the end of the day, he has already stolen you. What will happen next? He will kill you. Now, this is how Jesus comes up again as a mystery. When the devil introduces death, he realizes that Jesus, being the Son of God, can come back to life after 3 days. Look at Lazarus. He overcame death after 4 days. So beyond him killing, he came up with another strategy, destroying. When you uproot grass from the ground, you've killed it, but you've not destroyed the roots. It will still come back to birth. So that's what the devil does. But the Bible says, "I will come to give you life and life in abundance." So the first life is, your spiritual man will be charged. You'll get to a point where you understand your purpose. You'll be aligned with the purpose of God. Secondly, life in abundance. What does it mean? All these material possessions will now come to you. That's why you cross-reference with Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, life, and all other things will be added unto you. Life in abundance. Yeah.
You see, go back to the youths because you're talking about the youths. Saizi vijana wengi, they're not so much into church. Actually, they're criticizing people. I think it's because of the interpretation they get, the dramas that are going on. Like, it's so hard to convince a youth to come to church that this is where you will find Christ.
Yes.
This is where you will grow. How are you doing that? How are you able to get that youth, hold their hand, ati utashift, mind yake itakuwa diverted, ache kufikiria mambo ya world, sasa a focus on a goal, a focus angalie purpose yake kwa life.
Now this comes to an understanding. All of us think a church is where we normally go on Sunday. That's a building. You are the church. Personally, as a Christian, I am a church. So what will make this person get attracted to me? It's not the good building. It's my values as a person. It's the results that I have as a person. There are sermons that only faith can speak. There are sermons that only words can speak. Now you'll come to realize in life, there's a level where it gets, as Christians, I'm sorry to say, living a mediocrity life at times sends a message. Now, how will you convince an intellect to follow God? We say we have the mind of Christ, and yet this guy can defeat you in class. It's very hard. Now, there's a level where it gets where you need to understand and position yourself in a way that you understand who you are. What's your identity first? You're the Son of God. There's a scripture that I read, and it was very profound. It says that there's a time where God gave the Israelites what they said they wanted in the book of Numbers 14:28. And I asked myself, if you can ask God to give you wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is how you acquire information. Understanding is how you can make these knowledge that you've acquired become useful. Now, wisdom is how now you exercise it. How do you speak before people? How can you go in a corporate world and you command people to give you a certain amount of money? So it means there's a level where it gets. You need also to become upright. Look even on how the system of Babylon calls the people of King Daniel. When they are coming, there are some specific qualities they are looking for. They're looking at people who are good looking. They're looking for people who are intelligent. They can understand the language of the Chaldeans. So for you to get to such level, it means they had already worked on their self. Luke 2:52 says, and Jesus grew in wisdom. He grew in stature. He grew with favor with God and favor with man. So that's the posture as a Christian you need to grow to for you even to move a number of people. Because there's a level of influence that comes by you now understanding the posture which Christ stood up with. If I may just break them down, when you talk about the aspect of now growing in wisdom, it means Jesus was intellect. When he was asked questions, someone comes and says, this lady is a prostitute. Let's kill her. Jesus says, if you know you have no sin, throw the stone.
Yeah.
Which kind of intellectualism was that? When you come and talk about the aspect of growing in stature, Jesus himself, the aspect of looking good, as a young man, smelling nice, having nice haircut, your outlook, how you dress, how you present yourself before rooms also matters. When you talk about favor with God, having the right posture spiritually, the fact that you can have an intimate relationship with Christ Jesus and God. At the end of the day, what do you get? He gives you understanding and he shows you a blueprint on which you need to take through. Then the last one, favor with men. This is now the aspect of social capital, networks, friend, and also opinion shapers. People who can tell you, by the way, this is what you need to do. Sponsors, people who can mention you in rooms that you never thought you could be. For instance, today I'm in Nibs. I never knew I would be here. Since occurs in the way, as we are coming, then Benny says, I've been required to remain. Step up. Yeah.
I never thought I'll meet you.
Well, exactly.
But it's a privilege.
Yeah.
So, Levy, we have these young men who were once so strong firm, speaking and claiming the word of God.
Yes.
But along the way, they backslide, lose the essence of being in church. What do you do to bring them back?
Wow, that's a nice one. Personally, I've been there. Growing up, I've struggled a lot with secularism. I used to love hip hop. I used to love R&B so much. And one thing I came to understand about music, in my own world, that is, I don't know how the other people will view it. This is very personal. So manze, she attacked me too. So for me, music creates a certain atmosphere. There's some thoughts that you will only generate under the atmosphere you are in. When you talk about the aspect of even meditation, so nimekaa chini and maybe I'm listening to Bakas and I'm trying to meditate, internalizing those words. So there are thoughts that will be generated within my mind. So at the end of the day, I'm most likely to fall, or rather get off the way. Now what you can say, for those who've already missed out, the prodigal son has already set a template. Why? This guy goes and requests the father to give him his belonging. Then he goes, and after the funds are over, he tells himself, even the worst workers within my father's convenience are fed nicely. Why am I feeding like a pig? With the pigs, in fact. So number one thing I would urge those who've wavered off the way. Number one, what the devil does, he brings and clothes you with the cloth of sin. So he makes you feel guilty, and that's his joy. Anytime you want to pray, he tells you, by the way, si adi ni wewe jana ulifanya hivi. By the way, si ni adi wewe ulitusi nani. Kuna movie flani So at the end of the day, that's what the devil does. But now what does the story of the prodigal son teaches us? The prodigal son is we, the Christians, who've come off the path, and now the father is like now God. When this guy comes back, he's thrown for a party, he's given up robes, he's given up sandals. So this just shows you that how the father is always willing to receive you. So you might have come off the path, but that's not the end for your life. God is still waiting for you. There are those that God looks for, but there are those who God waits for. So it's a matter of you understanding what's the season that you are in. And if the thing that is bringing you down, through the Bible, we have our manual. We have all the solutions to our problems. So it's all about standing your ground and understanding you're the son of a king. Yeah.
The Gen Zs have understood how the political world is. You are so vocal. You are a role model as you speak. Many people are looking at you. They're like, wow, this guy, he's achieved a lot.
But Mungu anatusaidia.
Mungu anasaidia. Ama nyinyi ni wenye mnajiita God's favorites. Ama kila mtu ni God's favorites.
Well, we are all God's favorites. It's just a matter of understanding times and seasons. Just like sons of Issachar, they understood times and seasons. Yes.
So now, the Gen Zs have understood, and they know what they want.
Yes.
So they decided tutaenda pale tutete haki zetu. Niliona Benny
alikuwa site.
Like aren't you guys side na gava ama mko katikati?
Well, that's a nice question again. When you look at government, there is how these people are already designed. And this is how history comes in. Before you attack someone, the best way to attack them is number one, understanding their history. Their history will give you a response of their present. And their present will give you a futuristic prediction on how their tomorrow looks like. So what has happened is this. Now, as far as we are vocal, this is a seed that was planted long time ago. Look at the time of YK29, at the times of Kinamoi, when our president was taken into mentorship. There are things that are happening currently as a result of what was planted kitambo. Bana najua niko online, naweza toka hapa ya. Lakini Mr. Salimiwa. So, when you study history clearly, it will give you a certain perspective of where we are. There is a certain clip I watched, and Obina show. There was someone who was asked about his watch, and he said it's a certain amount of money.
True.
And when he was asked his sources of income, he said, "Bana nimeteseka sana." That statement alone shows you a perspective of where this person is coming from. Things were not okay, but now they are in the greener pasture. Now in life you can work in 3 dimensions. There is how the Bible says, there is the good will, there is the perfect will, and there's also the acceptable will. So the good will is where you use a lot of effort. Now a lot of politicians are using that, the goodwill perspective. They use a lot of effort. That if I need to get this water, even if it means I have to round this table 10 times for me to get it, I'll do it. But at the end of the day, I get it. And that's how even corruption comes into picture. Because there's a lot of effort that is being used. Now there's that acceptable will. Acceptable will ni 50-50. Wewe uko side ya God, but at the same time uko on the other side. So Bible inasema, who shall I send? Who shall go for us? So God atasema aje, like ache tupatie huyu jamaa juu kuna ka 50% yenye yako. You might not be the perfect choice of God, but because you are kinda available, utatumika that time. Then now there is the acceptable will. Now the acceptable will, this comes now with you having aligned yourself with God, that you can easily listen to him. There is a guy I met, he's called Mr. Njenga. They run Wambugu Apples. And this guy was saying, it's very unfortunate that we have a lot of believers at the prayer mountain praying. The danger is you can pray and forget to listen to God, and you make it religious. That's where the problem comes. Now, anytime you pray for understanding. When you pray for understanding, you deny self for your spiritual ears to be alert, to get to know what's the next blueprint. A lot of people in the corporate spaces, they've made because of principles. Now, us as the young people, we might have principles, but there's a level where principles will limit us. Why? Because there are things you can never attain by the virtue of principles. You can be waking up every day at 4 a.m. to study, you'll get the A plane. But we still have people who have A's, they got even first class, but they don't have job. What makes that happen? Yes, you apply the principles, but there is something that you're lacking. Now, beyond us going to the streets, what we should now be praying is that God may give us favor. Aside from favor, God may give us utterances. There is a scripture in the book of Luke 12:25. It says, "And I will give you words that none of your adversaries may refute." That God himself can give you words that you can say something and things happen. So if God himself spoke and it became, you being his son, it means you still have the power, because he said, "I've given you dominion over the earth." So if he spoke and it became, you can also speak and it becomes. But it only comes by you aligning with him and also gaining his favor. And that's what maybe we are lacking. Yes, we might be vocal, we might have the right words to say, but the big question is, what's the backup that you are having? Yeah.
Wow, Levy, wow. We just hold it there. We're going on a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Remember, we are live on YouTube at Miro Icon. Yes, you can send in the questions or ask us what you want us to ask Levy. We're going on a short commercial break. This is Mix TV. My name is Grace Givinji.
Hivi zilianza small scale door to door, likuwa na kinda opens hadi so, depending on vile tutabonga. If you know you know, side delivery nafanya kwote juu busy grow. Yeah, big up yourself. Kama lini safit na zikinda kwa shelf. Sherehe after kazi nyama kima kitesa. Ini kihando the cash check milio cash.
Wiki over, kila mtu anauliza form iko wapi. Ni sesa kwenye decks wanajua it's a party. Friday hadi Sunday joma fans wa hati. Lakini cheki bank statements ziko safi. Yo, ukipiga hiyo mboka get that money alafu sema yeah. Better save that money alafu yeah. Lazima tutafute tukafunge yeah.
life ijipe na sio kesho.
Yeah, yeah. Lazima tutafute, tukafunge. Yeah, yeah.
Make it happen right now, right here.
Property Finder has more homes available everywhere you look, in every neighborhood, and every community. With more and more arriving every day. Property Finder. Find every home here. Download the app today.
Niko mko home. Aki niko, mbona mmechange password ya wifi? Aki simnipe tu hiyo password. Hata baby girl ako home, si ndio amesema go away.
Bro,
mambo janjes,
takusuma majirani. Make chapo smarter.
Aje.
Dial *334# to enjoy 1 GB at 50 Kenya shillings for 24 hours. Bundle exclusively available on Airtel Money.
Okay, nimesha soti hiyo 1 GB. Sana data yako kakuku tu.
Kote nchini matumaini, tujitahidi, tujivunie, tuendelee. Twende mbele.
Kenya, twende mbele. NCBA, go for it. Welcome to the realm where dreams take flight, where imagination soars on wings of innovation, where creativity and business intertwine. Join our vibrant family, a network that inspires. With mentors who fuel your creative fires. It's more than just a school. It's an immersive experience that shapes hearts, minds, and spirits. Here, legends are born and nurtured. Ignite your flame. Where dreams are stitched into business plans. We equip you with the tools to choose. Unleash your passion amidst these walls. NIBS Technical College, developing character skills and competence.
back, my viewer. My name is Grace Kibinji. We're still having the discussion with Levy, who is an author, a speaker, and also an advisor. He's very intellect. You said intellect? Am I right, Levy?
Why not? We cannot say no because God is helping us. Yeah.
Yes, and we're back. I'll be asking more questions, then I'll get back to my audience who will ask some questions. Levy, back to you. So how can political education be improved to engage more young people?
Wow. Swali ambayo nilikuwa nangoja. Imefika. Personally, I'm not good in political governance, but God will help us again. So when it comes to the aspect of politics, one thing I understand is when we can have curriculums that are also incorporated to make sure that young people have an understanding more about politics. Now, funny enough, our education system is kinda, I want to use the word biased, but I would say has a limitation. Now, when you come to Kenya, we have 844 system. 8 years primary, 4 years high school, 4 years campus, tamak kidogo, pata ka job pale mahali, piga internship kwanza, and then you get yourself a good work, get to have a good home, have a Mazda CX-5, at least inaka kikubwa kidogo, maybe you get to have a good house, then you afford to take your kids to maybe Mombasa, Diani, for a holiday, take them to a good private school. That's success in our generation, based on the education system that we are having. CBC came, watu wanafundishwa story ya kupika watoto wadogo. It's a good thing just to have these skills, but the big question is, can we challenge the people from a global perspective? Now, a child in China is not thinking the same. A child in China, at the age of 10, they're developing phones that we are using in Kenya, softwares. And my big question is, couldn't we see how we can raise leaders from birth? Like mtu yeye ashazaliwa, ameanza kugrow. You train them in the way that they should become. Because if I may be asked, why did I do biology and yet I'm doing ICT? I don't know. I did history. Well, it's not helping me either way in ICT. So at the end of the day, this is how we need to have curriculums that are very much functional. Now, greatness begins when you begin. Anytime you're available, it becomes very easy for you to adapt. In the book I've written about child brain development, in the first stages of the brain of a child, there's a level where it gets that hadi mtoto akianzanga kutambaa chini, inafikanga level anaanza sasa kutembea kama ameshika meza. So at that particular moment, the brain of a child is normally very fertile. So anything they get at that particular stage, it becomes very easy to be made manifest. Now, how do you say mtoto anaanza kusema baba, mama, but kuna mtoto ajui baba, mama, anajua dad, mom? The same thing, but different worlds. I trained a guy called Kirinya. He's 11 years. The father owns a company called Pontypridd. This guy is in Crawford International School. At 11, he has a company. He knows how to run an effective meeting, boardroom meeting to be precise, with employers. He can sit with the HD, he can sit with the MD, and they drive a conversation for more than an hour. 11 years. Now, for another 11 years, anajua kucheza bano. So I can see that's also how now the education system also brings that separation. This is how it positions your mindset. So if we can have how young people can also be trained more on leadership, they can have that understanding that if you're a leader, you can grow. Some people say leadership is both through maybe charisma. Others will say you are born a leader. But I believe beyond that, there's also a coaching process. There was a guy who was in a pit. The first person came, he was a doctor. Kambu jama manze uliangukaje kwa heshima. ukitoka hapa come mimi nitakutreat free. The second guy came, he was a pastor, akamwambia manze wewe macho yako ya kiroho ilikuwa imefunga, ukitoka hapa kuja nikuombe uone. Then there's this third guy who comes, he says he's a lawyer. He says the guys who dug this pit did a mistake. Once you come out of this pit, come by my law firm, I'll sue these guys for you. Now all these three guys, they gave a futuristic help. Now this guy needed to come off the pit. Here comes the fourth person, he hears this guy screaming. Then he's like, anafikiria, then he throws himself inside this pit. Then this guy is asked, why have you thrown yourself here? How will we get out? And this guy laughs. He says, I've been in this pit before. I know the way out. So in life, beyond us getting into government, there are those people who've been in that pit before. They know the way out. It's up to them to hold your hands. And that's now the power of mentorship. That these people can hold your hands. Another story, just to sum up, when it comes to the aspect of now curriculum and also mentorship, even in this field. There is a guy who is a young lawyer. He's around 22 years. So there is this prominent lawyer who holds a certain function all the way from States to Nigeria. So this guy sees Ujama and he's been following his content. Then he tells himself, I must show up for this event. Unfortunately or fortunately enough, the ticket price is the amount that this guy has as his savings in his bank account. So if he shows up for this meeting and he fails to meet this guy, definitely he will have even more money to go back home. So this guy decides that he will show up in this event. So this guy comes, he sits, and when this old man is presenting, as he's about to finish, the young man comes off from his seat, runs to where the old man is at the podium. He takes his laptop, he takes his documents, then he walks the old man off the stage. So as the old man was about to exit, this young boy says, I want to have a talk with you. I need a deal, but I don't know how to get this deal. Kindly help me, sir. I need your mentorship. Then this old man walks with the young boy. Then he says, bring my things. He places them in the car. Then he tells him, let me walk you back in. He takes the young boy back inside the hall. He takes him to where he was sitting exactly. Then he tells the young man, sit here. Then the guy goes. The young boy starts crying. How has this man helped me? So amidst those people, there is a certain company that wanted to give this old man a certain work when it comes to the aspect of law. And they had a budget of 20 million. And this boy alikuwa anataka apate biz ndo hadi arudi home. So this is how this boy got to have this deal. There's a man comes, taps his shoulder and he says, we've seen you with the old man. We've been trying to reach him. He's unreachable. Fortunately or unfortunately, we've even tried booking him to attend to our case, but he has rejected our offer worth 20 million Kenya shillings. Do you happen to know this old man? The boy was just saying, yes. Have you worked with him before? Yes. Do you know where he comes? Yes. So everything was yes, 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 yes. Then he was told, because you wanted the old man and you couldn't get him, because you are the one who is available, can you still take the same deal with 10 million? And the boy was like, yes. By the time he realizes he's been given an opportunity, he was like, wow, it has already come. So that's how powerful mentorship is, even in our generation. And that's something we are also overlooking. And I will kindly request, if you know where you want to be, seek for that person who's been in that pit before. They always know the way out. Yeah.
Levy, you've talked about mentorship.
Yes.
Just to take you back a little bit, you mentor people on public speaking.
Yes.
If I am doing media, does it mean that I should be doing media studies? Or does it, media studies and public speaking, they kind of connect. Do I really have to be a media personnel? Or anyone can become a public speaker? Yeah.
Funny enough, public speaking is a tool that is needed by everyone. Even a lawyer needs it.
Okay.
So I can say, this is how public speaking now gets intertwined with all these things. Number one, public speaking will help you in the aspect of networking, strategic networking. Maybe media can help you stay behind the camera. When you're exposed to people, you can shy away. I normally say if there are people who have a lot of content, videographers, photographers, cinematographers, because the kind of exposure they have when they're recording content. But funny enough, I have a friend of mine, he's a photographer, but you give him a space to speak, he will refuse. Tell you, Bana, Buddha, this is Kiliam. But at the end of the day, for you even to leverage your networks, take relationships to the next level, you need to have this science and this art. Because it will also help you now retain relationships. It will help you take relationships to the next level. It will also help you now sustain relationships. Because public speaking will teach you on to know what to say, how to say it, and also where to say. So it gives you those three perspectives. You will understand, this is the space I'm supposed to speak. This is the time that I'm supposed to speak. And these are the words I'm supposed to say.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Levy. I'll take questions from our audience.
Okay.
Glory has a question, and you can pose your question.
Okay, thank you. My name is Glory. So my question is, you said about the youth praying for favor and utterance from God.
Yes.
And now the issue comes in where our youth, a majority are not believers. And the few are believers, they kind of tend to abandon it because they feel like this is not that godly, it's not that religious to do that because this is something that is related with death and all that.
Yes.
So like how can we educate the youth to be to factor this thing in because it's very important. Without God's favor, there are some doors you cannot open. Yeah.
Thank you for that question. I can say it's also a good one. Now there's something that you've said. Without the favor of God, you cannot influence them. Now that's the key part of it. Now, before you do an outreach, personally you need to have favor with God. You need to have favor with man. That's why we talked about now Luke 2:52. And the other thing I can also say, now, Bible says the ear of the Lord is not too dull to hear. Could it be that we are not speaking? That's why we are not seeing. Because anytime you see, you don't see to get excited, but you see to call what you see into being. And that's why God said, let there be light. There was no excitement, light became. Now the other thing, we as Christians, we also have an assignment. Now before doing an outreach, we need to work more on self before we reach out, because you'll only give what you have. Now if you are empty, you cannot give. Secondly, our generation currently is experiencing pain, depression, rejection. Those are maybe the three kind of things that this generation is experiencing. So someone can be rebellious. It's not that rebellious because it's their nature, but because of circumstances of life. So how can you turn their pain into laughter? How can you bring back hope to that who is depressed? How can you hold the hands of that who feels like this is the end of life? So at the end of the day, anytime you study generational needs, you get generational solutions. It's through the generational solutions that Christ comes to be glorified. Because Bible says, to the Jews I became a Jew, to the Gentiles I became a Gentile, and to everyone I became everything. So there's a level where it gets. You will need to be in Babylon system, but it does not mean you need to corrupt yourself. You need to have the understanding that this is what God is calling me for, this is what God is calling me to do. With that understanding, it will make your outreach very easy. One thing I love about Daniel, he was so consistent that he managed to convince the reign of 5 kings that his God is the true God. Now when Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego are thrown into the furnace of fire, unfortunately the guys who throw them get burned. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego don't get burned, and the king gets to see the 4th person. Now when you look at Daniel, he's giving us a template. He used to pray in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So what I normally tell myself before I reach out to our generation, number one, understand who are you representing in the Bible, because their mantles are still in the spiritual realm. So you need to have an understanding. Personally, I came to understand that I'm a Joseph. Now, as a Joseph, what do I need to do? Joseph passed through the pit. He got sold by the brothers. Pain is inflicted. He gets to a pit. Pain is still there. He's exposed to Potiphar's wife. This is the place of power. It's the place where now you have to start. It was the place of principles actually. This is where now his principles helped him. Aside from his principle helping him, he's thrown back to prison, and after prison, this is where now power comes. Joseph was a slave. Within 24 hours, he was a governor. The 3 P's. Number 1, he was the pit. Pain was inflicted. Secondly, there was a point of principles. Then thirdly, there was a point of power. So you need to understand what is your pit, what is your principle, and now what is your power, what is your kairos moment. Yeah.
I have a question from one of our viewers.
Yes.
Her name is Marianne.
Yes.
She's asking, Grace, kindly ask Levy. I dropped out of college and I happened to get a mbaba who pays my school fees and my rent. I asked God to help me and he came through. Is this a blessing or a curse in this case?
Wow. Nice one. Let's rewind a little bit. I remember you said the enemy is very strategic. Anything that looks good before God, he can also make the same thing to look good before you. So what's the goodness? Number 1, the fees are being paid, the rent is being paid. It's a good thing, don't despise the fact. But now, at the end of the day, what is she doing? The aspect of character. So number 1, you lose dignity. Number 2, you become a slave. So you'll have to subject yourself under an authority that is not of God. The other thing I could say to Marianne is this. Now, there's a level where it gets, you understand God is the provider. Now, God being the provider, you'll have to, you can easily account on how you got to point B from point A. Because now, light and darkness can never stay together. And there's a level where it gets where now, when you have God leading you, you can easily account. You say, this is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I'm going to. Now, funny enough, currently, Bible says in Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd. Now, we've twisted that. We've let God be at our back and we the front. So the flock is leading the shepherd. That's the biggest problem. The other thing I would say, pray that God may give you clarity. Because personally, I suffered delay. Because I cleared high school and that's when my dad's company had collapsed. He was in debt, he needed to sort them out. Things were auctioned in the house and was like, this is it for me. But now, there's a level where it gets, you are like Job. When the devil comes and says, there's this guy called Job, like I need to test this guy. God says, you can do whatever you want to do with him, but don't touch his heart. It came to a point where the wife was saying like, just curse God and die. But Job stood the ground. So there's a level where it gets, you having an understanding of who God is. So if God is your provider, he will bring resources from the right people. He'll bring resources that you won't have to compromise your standards. When I finished high school, I needed to join campus. My dad told me, I don't have this money. Because at that particular moment, my brother had also just cleared primary, he needs to join high school. Being the firstborn, I was asked, what do you prefer? I said, let my brother proceed. It was not the easiest. I did that, why? Because I was like, bro ataona aje, wazae wampendi. So personally, nika have to feel the pain that bro could have taken. But now, what does Bible says? The ways of God is not like the ways of man. There is a verse in 1 Chronicles 16:11. He says, he shall teach me and instruct me on the way I shall go. He shall counsel me with his eye upon me. For God to teach you and instruct you on the way that you should go, it means there is a level that flesh has to die. That leads us back to Matthew 6:33. That every time that we think about the good things, education is good, but now having an understanding of who God is, he will take you through the process. Because he says in Jeremiah 29:11, he has good plans and good thoughts. And part of those good plans and good thoughts is not compromising your standards as a person. Yeah.
So, Levy, there's a youth out here who really wants to be like Levy, who wants to be like Benny Hinn, but they don't know where to start. They've lost hope. The pressure is getting worse, and everything seems to be lost. What can you tell them?
Okay, to that youth outside there, number 1, I would say, don't wish to be like Levy, nor wish to be like Benny Hinn. Just be the best version of yourself. Why? We have different mandates. We have different purpose. Your purpose may not be the same as mine. So wish to be the best version of yourself. There's a story of a young boy that is given. He was walking along with his grandfather and he saw an aeroplane passing, and he told the grandfather, that aeroplane looks very small. And the grandfather told him, yes, it's very small. Then the grandfather took the young boy to the airport and he said, you see that thing that you saw that was very small? This is it. This is how big it is. Now, the fact that we might see God is far from us, he will remain to be small. But anytime you come closer to God, he becomes big. Secondly, the last story that I'll give, there were two young boys who were playing on top of the ice blocks. And as they were skating, there were a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. The 12-year-old boy, kukakuwa na crack kwa ice, akaanza kusink. So as he was trying to come out, the 9-year-old boy was asking himself, how can I save my little brother? And as he was walking by, he found a certain wooden block, and he went and hit hard on where the brother was sinking so that he could have space to pull him out. And as he managed to pull him out, that's when the ambulance and the rescue team were arriving. And they were surprised to see this 9-year-old boy has already helped the 12-year-old boy. And they were asking themselves, how did this happen? An old man was passing, and he said, the 9-year-old boy managed to save the 12-year-old boy because there was none to tell him he could not. Maybe words have been said against you that you are not, but what does Bible say? If I call you foolish today, you have the power of your tongue. Remember, anything that comes in your ear, it has come through words, and it's only through words that you can get yourself out there. Some of us have been called failures, but Bible says he shall make us the head and not the tail. Some of us, we've been called names, but God tells me that I'm his son, meaning if he is the king, I am a prince. So that's my parting shot for you guys. Never lose hope. This is a journey, and you have every power to command it. Remember, everyone can run away from your vision, but you're the only one who is required to stay, whether the highs and the lows. Thank you so much.
Wow. I'm speechless. For the first time, my guest has made me speechless. So, Levy, you came with a friend.
Yes.
Kindly introduce him to us.
Okay. I came in with Ushindi Dieka. Ushindi Dieka is a very young, interesting man. He comes from the coastal region. He's amongst the mentees we've worked with. Apparently, in Kilifi County, we did a pilot program for public speaking and mentorship for them, and he's a success story. Currently, as you're speaking right now, he does partnership with the Deputy Governor of Kilifi, that is Madam Flora Chibule. Wow. He's an interesting young man, and we said, why not? Let's come and take this coffee together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ushindi. And